Throw it back in the box. Get ready to bolt these cylinder heads on now. Okay, now the next thing we're going to do before we install our head gasket and cylinder head, we need to make sure this gasket surface on the engine block and on the cylinder heads are perfectly clean and oilless. That way your gasket will make an airtight seal and actually stick to the metal surfaces. Otherwise, this oil film on here is going to prevent your gasket from sealing, and then you'll have premature failure on that. And we want this thing to last. So we're going to go ahead and squirt a little carburetor cleaner or any kind of cleaning solvent on here. Wipe away a little bit of oil residue that's on the block from when you assembled it. Do the same thing on the back side here. Be sure to let it dry off clean. Just carefully go around again and pick up whatever residue's left over on here. Try not to leave any lint particles on. Well, now that we've got our head gasket surface area all clean and dry and clear of any debris or oil, we're ready to put the head gasket on. On your big block Chevy, the head gasket does have to go on a certain way. You pretty much have to set it on your alignment pins here and eyeball and make sure all your head bolts are lined up, and your small little coolant passages also. You see, if you put it on incorrectly upside down, a lot of these holes aren't going to line up. Well, obviously you won't be able to put the head bolts in on this. On some of your small block Chevys, you could put the head gasket on this way or the other way around. But anyway, while you're putting your gasket on, set it on your alignment dowels. Check and double check that all your holes line up to the proper passages or bolt hole. Got that on correctly. So we're ready to put the cylinder head on now. And set the cylinder head on here. So what we're going to do is line up these little alignment pins onto the cylinder head. Alright, now we're going to set this next cylinder head on. Get our head gasket out here. These head gaskets actually have a tacky, sticky substance on the gasket that helps it adhere to the metal itself. That's another reason why you want this to be perfectly clean and dry. So we're going to eyeball this thing and line up all the holes. It looks pretty good from here. Pop it on our alignment pins. Grab our cylinder head over here. Set it on just like so. Now what we're going to do now, I've taken all the head bolts and I've put them on the wire wheel, and I actually cleaned the threads on all the bolts, and I inspected all the bolt holes in the block. These particular head bolt holes all go into the cooling passages of the engine. So what we're going to do is take a dab of our silicone sealant, swipe it across the first ½ inch of the bottom of the threads on each head bolt before we put it in. I'm going to go ahead and just put the first one in the very dead center top bolt, and that's just going to hold the head on in place as we go ahead and seal and install all the other head bolts. What we do now is just go ahead and just cinch down the center head bolt with a small 3/8 ratchet. Get it fit down there good and snug. Same with the bolt on the other side here. That gives us a good starting point. Not only that, tightening that center bolt will actually help flatten out the head gasket, which will make it good and flat for the torque sequence we're going to. You see, I've already put in the center bolt on the cylinder head. We're going to go ahead and take the rest of the bolts, put some sealant on the threads, and get them started in all the bolt holes. Cinch them all down by hand. Then we're going to put a torque wrench to them and torque them all down. So we've gotten all these bolts in. Obviously, the short bolts go in the bottom holes, and the long bolts will go in all the other top holes. The head bolts pretty much surround each piston. So anyway, we've got them all siliconed on. We're going to go ahead and snug them down, starting in the center bolts. This is pretty much the same torque sequence we're going to use when we actually torque them. Start in the middle, work your way out. Try to do a star pattern actually. So we're going to go to this one, over here, over here, work our way out again here, so on, back and forth across the cylinder head. I'm guessing I'm pretty much tightening these about 40 to 45 pounds by hand right now. After this, we'll put the torque wrench onto it, get it up to the proper specification. Alright, so we've got them all in, we've got them all cinched down pretty snug. Now we're going to put the torque wrench on them.